Came from a very humble background. I was born and raised in Jamaica. Shortly after my parents split, be away from my mom for a whole year, had to figure stuff out on my own as a 12-year-old girl, walking to school 4 miles back and forth. That was a very humble beginning. I persevered. I did great in school. Was in 10th grade, I had to repeat. And that was the first major delay I experienced in my life. I was so devastated. I was so ashamed. But what I didn't realize, in the midst of that delay, in the midst of that adversity, there was a blessing waiting for me. God gave me an opportunity to be a part of what they call the Cadet force. I was given the opportunity to do a flight training. And then I passed that. And now here I am flying airplanes. And I got a private pilot license out of that. And so that's been the journey of my life. Adversity after adversity. But what I have noticed is this. Every time that I face something major in my life, a disappointment, failure, rejection, betrayal, God always have a blessing in that situation to take me higher. It develops me. It propels me into my destiny.
Hey, I'm Rev Jocelyn, a minister of healing, speaker, and women's ministry coach. I grew my ministry from a simple blog to a national Christian trauma healing movement. And now I help women to answer their call to build purpose-driven ministries and businesses. Welcome to Rev Jocelyn Talks, where healing meets purpose. Hello, family, and welcome to another conversation with Reverend Jocelyn. I am so glad that you are here today, and I'm excited because I'm having a conversation with a beautiful woman of God, Coach Rosie Thames, who she is a best-selling book expert, author, success coach, and founder of Coach Rosie Empire. Empire. That sounds big. A powerhouse brand that empowers leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries to transform their stories into influence, income, and impact. Now, she's a decorated U.S. Air Force veteran turned global empowerment leader, and she teaches people how to walk into their purpose-driven vision for their life. And so she's here to have a conversation with me today. I'm so excited to welcome her. Welcome, Coach Rosie.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to see you, to be here on your podcast as one of your guests.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Absolutely. Wouldn't have it another way.
Yes, sis. Well, I first am really pumped up about the fact that you'll be joining me for our upcoming ministry launch conference in January, which we're going to talk about that soon. But before we get into all of that good stuff, I want people to know, who are you? Before you had this empire, tell us about your story.
Whew. Oh my gosh.
Loaded
That's a
question, right?
lot of question. So I came from a very humble background. I was born and raised in Jamaica. And yes, as we talk about Jamaica, the same country that you're probably hearing on the news right now that was hit severely by Hurricane Melissa. Of course, my heart goes out to everyone out there. I have family out there, checking up on them and things like that. But I was born and raised on that beautiful island, and very humble beginnings. My parents were young. I mean, my mom had all 4 kids before she turned 24. Okay, go figure. Go figure. So young parent, she started at 16. And, shortly after my parents split. And so that caused some disruption in my family. And I remember as a little girl, when that happened, my mom had to leave because it was a lot of domestic violence going on, and I had to witness that. And so my mom had to run for her life and go to another what we call parish, is what in the state we call states, right? And so she went to another parish and had to leave me and my brother behind with my dad, and her and my other 2 sisters went to the city, which is Kingston. And in that early stage of life, I I realized that I was dealing with some isolation and abandonment. And I didn't know until I was an adult that those things were happening, right? I was just going through the motion. And so I had to be away from my mom for a whole year, had to figure stuff out on my own as a 12-year-old girl, walking to school 4 miles back and forth by myself sometimes. And even to this day, sometimes I think about it like, girl, you did that on your own. You walked these streets by yourself. I would never let my kids do that today, but I did. And so that was a very humble beginning, starting off with that kind of adversity and witness it in my own family, having to deal with the pain and the trauma of that. But as a child, you just want to enjoy life. And so, I eventually went to live with my mom in Kingston and went to high school there. So during that time, living with a single mom was not easy. I mean, I experienced moments where I didn't have money for school. We had to take the bus. We had to have money for lunch. I didn't have that. Sometimes I had to depend on my good friends to give me, share with me their lunch or whatever. So it was a struggle, but nevertheless, I persevered. I did great in school. One of the most memorable moments for me was in 10th grade. I had to, the first time I did 10th grade, I repeated 10th grade because I was distracted by a boy. Go figure. And my mom was like, no, Rosie, I'm not going to let you proceed to the next grade because in the Caribbean, that's a big thing. Going to 11th grade is where you take your major exams, and that determine if you go to university or just go to trade school and, become, not do much with your life. Right. And she was afraid of me moving forward. So she had me repeat. And that was the first major delay I experienced in my life. And I was devastated, Jocelyn. I was so devastated. I was so ashamed. I wanted to cry my eyeballs out. I'm like, Mom, I'm watching all my friends move ahead, and here I am staying behind. But what I didn't realize in the midst of that delay, in the midst of that adversity, there was a blessing waiting for me. Not only did I meet new friends now, and so my other friends, we're still at the same school, so I see them all the time, but now I meet new friends and they're looking up to me now because I've done this. I've been here. But in addition to that, Jocelyn, God gave me an opportunity to be a part of what they call the Cadet Force. So it's like junior ROTC. In that program, I was given the opportunity to do a flight training. So one of my dreams growing up was to be a pilot, okay? An airline pilot. Within that time, when I repeated 10th grade, I got the opportunity to go to ground school training, and then I passed that, and now here I am at 18, 19, flying airplanes. And I got a private pilot license out of that. Oh my gosh. I mean, that was my first experience of knowing that even though you have disappointments in life, delays, pain, shame, God can turn that thing around for your good. Okay. And so that's been the journey of my life, adversity after adversity. But what I have noticed is this: every time that I face something major in my life, a disappointment, failure, rejection, betrayal, God always have a blessing in that situation to take me higher and to, it's almost like it develops me. It propels me into my destiny. And so that's been, the earlier years, and then I left Jamaica back in 2000. I came to United States when I was 20. And of course, I'm like, yeah, I want to continue this dream of being a pilot. I wanted to take it further and become a commercial pilot. So I'm like, okay, United States Air Force, right? So 6 months after coming to this country, I did not know anybody else but my family in New York. I decided I wanted to go join the Air Force. 6 months later, packed my bags and off I went to basic training. right here in San Antonio where I retired, actually, right
Wow.
now where I started in the military. And, life would so have it where I did not become that airline pilot that I wanted in the military because you have to be a citizen, and I wasn't a citizen at the time. And as I was going through the training and everything like that, God just had a different path for me, right? So I got married, I had children. I was a vehicle mechanic when I started the military. Then I became a paralegal, and got to travel the world. Being in the military, I was stationed several places in the United States. Then I went to Balad, Iraq. I was in the war zone, yes, ma'am, and that's another story in itself. So you see, your girl, I've
You was tough. You
Listen, I was doing the thing, and then I did my tour in Okinawa, Japan for 3 years with the family, and then retire here in San Antonio, Texas. During that time, I dealt with losing my mom. She came to visit us during Thanksgiving and didn't make it back home. That was one of the toughest times of my life, having to lose my mom at the age of 56. And having a son diagnosed with autism, having a spouse that what had a chronic health issue. He had lupus attack his kidneys, and that caused him to have a kidney transplant after that. Right. So there were moments, even though, you know, we were making the best of life, building a multiple six-figure income business. There were times where it was really challenging, to the point where it rocked my world, and to the point where I started to question, like, God, why? Why are these things happening? I mean, I'm the person that, I get up, I pray, I mind my business, I go to work, I come home, go to church. That's it. But it seems like these challenges, these adversities would come to almost take me out. And I had to get back up and fight. But here's the thing that I did: I was determined to rise after every challenge, after every obstacle, after every storm in my life. I was determined to rise. And that's what was placed inside of me, is rise. So this this season of my life that I'm in is one of the most difficult seasons that I had to face. After dealing with everything that I've dealt with in the past, my husband, after 18 and a half years of marriage, told me he was done. Jocelyn, like, can you imagine being there for someone when they're at their worst, during their health crisis, right? You've been there through the thick and the thin. You know the marriage vows, till death do us part. And we know that marriage isn't it's not a bed of roses, right? We know that there are challenges, but to hear the person that you vow to live life with, to partner with for a lifetime, tell you that they're done, that was a blow in itself. And that right there put me to my knees, Jocelyn. And that's when I almost gave up. I almost gave up. And that's when I heard God said to me, "Woman, rise. Woman, rise." And I heard that voice again, "Woman, rise." I'm like, I got up. I got up in that moment, and I'm like, God, I just, I was broken. I was hurt, but I'm like, God, I am going to get up. And with your help, I'm going to rise above this. I'm going to rise above this pain. I'm going to rise above this hurt, and I'm going to build myself back up. And that's what I started to do, Justin. Since 2022, I've been on a mission to rise above the adversity. I've been on a mission to build myself back up, to rebuild the dreams that was taken away from me. I've been on a mission. So every day I've been intentional about what I want to do as far as my goals and dreams. And I stood steadfast in my faith, right? That's my foundation. And I embrace every opportunity the new challenges bring. And that's how I've been living. That's how I've been living, girl. That's why I'm here.
My goodness, sis. Oh my gosh. I want there's so many emotions and feelings that I have after you just sharing your story because you've been rising your entire life. You know, you've been fighting and pressing your entire life and now you're at a place where with this most recent crossroad and devastation, if I may say, of having things take place the way they did with your marriage, you are on a mission to turn your pain into purpose and help others to rise, right? And so thank you for your authenticity and sharing your story, the realness of it all. And, as it relates to before we talk about the work that you are doing, in business, because it's fabulous what you're doing in business, talk a little bit about what has been helping you on your healing journey, because that's vitally important that even though we're doing this work and we're doing great things, that God heals our heart from some of the trauma and things that we've gone through.
Absolutely. So of course, I mentioned in just now that my faith is the foundation. There's scripture that talks about, and I had to hold on to is one of the things I tell myself is, Rosie, is either you believe God what he says or you don't. You know what I'm saying? There's no in between. Is either you're gonna believe him for every word or you don't. So one of the things that I stood on, one of the words is all things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. Now, this didn't feel good, okay? None of this felt good. It felt, let me tell you, the pain was
It didn't feel good.
it was excruciating. Jocelyn, I asked God this, right? Because Holy Spirit be talking, and I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, yes, Rosie, you're in labor. I'm birthing something in you. And I look at God and I said, but can I get some epidural, Jesus? Like, can I get
For real, though, for real.
can your girl get some epidural? Cause if we're gonna birth something, just help me out here, Let me tell you, that pain was it was wicked, okay? But in the midst of it, each day that I wake up and I realize I'm still in the land of the living, I said, "Oh, I guess I can do it." Another day, and another day goes by, and the pain just it's not as intense, right? And so when I realized that I have a moment where I could catch my breath and breathe and put my head above water, now I'm able to, like, okay, I can tread water now, and I start to figure out stuff. I start to I seek help. That's the biggest thing right there. Seek help. Get a counselor, get an advisor, have somebody to help me process these emotions and help me think about the heavy stuff and how to navigate through the pain and all these things, right? So I sought help. I didn't do it by myself. I sought help. Of course, with prayer and seeking God. God is my first coach, counselor, advocate, all of that. Okay. And then, community. Community is big, Jocelyn, and you know that. That's where I met you, in a community, right? We have to keep working on ourselves, our mind, right? Our heart, our body, our soul. So I became part of several communities that was poured into me because I felt like I was so depleted. I needed to be poured into. And then in that same moment, not only, let me tell you, there's a revelation God gave me and it blew my entire mind. Okay. And here it is. When you're looking for a breakthrough in one area, God showed me this a few years ago. Serve somebody else that's needing that same breakthrough. And so while yeah, while I was, having my pity party and, oh God, I can't, why this is happening to me? God told me, Rosie, I want you to connect with women that has gone through situation, that is going through the same situation, and he would bring them to me, and I want you to help them. And that's how this whole coaching program, this book writing, storytelling came about. It's because God brought women to me with stories that I'm like, when they tell me their stories, I just want to be quiet about mine. I'm like, girl, you ain't going through nothing. Okay. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, but I've also learned we don't compare pain because pain is pain,
Pain is
you
pain.
know?
I know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, girl.
Yeah, but you hear people be life is life and people are going through.
Yes.
So you're not by yourself in the struggle.
And that's it. So that's the biggest part. You learn that you're not alone in your struggle. And when you meet people that has been through situations similar or even more egregious, you're like, you know what, God, if they can do it, surely I can get through this. And that's what helped me to go through and rise above on a daily basis the things that I'm facing. And that's how women
Mm.
rise. And this is, I'm gonna show you. This is the book right here. You have a copy of it. That's how
I do.
this was birthed from that situation I told you about with with my husband, and God told me to rise, and He told me, I want you to write a book with 20 other ladies, and I want you to help them tell their stories. Now, when I was doing that, I didn't realize while I was hearing their stories and helping them craft their stories that it was helping me in the process to heal and to get
Mm.
stronger, because I was now drawing from their strength, from their resilience. You know what I'm saying? I see their strength and I'm like, let me borrow some of that over here. And so that's what's been helping me. This was
That's amazing, Coach Rosie. And I actually wanna talk a little bit more about the Woman Rise Project and beyond when we get back from this short commercial break. So we'll be right back. Hi, it's Reverend Jocelyn, and it is time to accelerate your ministry. I have had the pleasure of working with thousands of women across the country to help them to answer the call. And oftentimes, when they first come to me, they're struggling with things like, how do I have clarity about my next steps? Or how do I generate revenue for my ministry? Or how do I market my ministry? These are common struggles. But this is what I've learned. You don't have to struggle alone. Support is available for you. And if you are at a place where you are serious about taking your next step as it relates to your ministry and you want to see results, I want to invite you to book a free Ministry and Business Accelerator call with me. A time where we'll talk about your challenges, we'll talk about your goals, and we'll talk about a path forward for you to get the support that you need. Now, spots are limited, so you want to act fast. But I am here to support you in taking that next step in your ministry journey. So let's accelerate your ministry together. Book your call today. Welcome back, family. So I'm here with the great Coach Rosie, and she was sharing just such a heartfelt story with us. And now she's at a place in her journey where she is serving others at the place where she's seeking her breakthrough. How profound is that? And so she wrote an anthology book, Rise, Women Rise, is it
Woman
called?
Rise.
Woman Rise. Yes, beautiful cover, by the way, where 20 women came together with her to write their stories. And that was healing for you, right, Coach Rosie?
Yes.
And since then, that was the beginning. But what is God doing through your life now, through your ministry, through your business?
Oh my goodness. So when I tell you we serve a God that will blow your mind, okay? Like He's an epic God, the God of epic beginnings and endings, okay? And He does everything epic in the middle. But I did not know where He was going to take me with this project. I knew there I knew I had a story in the beginning, right? Before I started Woman Rise and everything, but I didn't know people would believe my story. I didn't know people would care about what I had to say anyways, right? I didn't know it would be an impact. And so I remember just prior to this story, a friend of mine reached out to me and she said, Rosie, I've been following you on social media. Remember, I was talking about losing my mom, my husband going through health issues, all these things that we were going through. But she always see me come on doing great things, just with a smile. And she's like, that inspire me, Rosie. And I think you have a powerful story and I would encourage you to be part of an anthology. And this was my first anthology that I wasn't the visionary for, but this was the first book I shared my story in. Now, I thought you had to be a celebrity to write a book, somebody famous, somebody rich. You had to have a lot of money. So that was very discouraging for me in the beginning. But when she shared about this opportunity and she said anthology, I'm like, antholo what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, where you get that word from? Stop making up words, girl. And she broke it down to me and she's like, hey, get with the visionary. She'll give you the details. I got with the visionary. She gave me the details and I was blown away. I'm like, what? I can become an author. I can share my story and just put it in one chapter. I don't have to worry about all the production, all the things that go with putting a book together. All I need to do is write 1,500 words. That is so easy. Like that's like doing a paper, a college paper, right? Like so,
Exactly, exactly.
so easy. So that's what I did. I wrote my 1,500 words. I gave her my bio, gave her a picture of myself. Boom, that's it. Your girl was a published author. Okay. Couldn't tell me nothing. That boosted my confidence. I was in the military at the time. Nobody in my office, my colonel, my leaders, nobody wrote a book. Wrote Tech Sergeant Thames wrote was in a book, right? So that gave me some bragging rights. And that boosted my confidence. I felt good about that. People start to ask me, how did you do that, Rosie? You know, friends on social media, people that I know, how you did that. And that sparked something else in me. I want to learn the whole process. I want to know how to write and publish books. So, what I did, sought help again. I got me a coach that will teach me the entire process. And during that time, while I sought got help, got a coach, and he was helping me with other projects, that's when Woman Rise came about. When I was going through the difficult season of my life, I felt like it was Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Melissa all in one that hit me, right?
Category 5, girl,
The
category 5
Cat 5
hurricane.
storm, okay? It came with a
Yeah.
vengeance, but thank God, God is the God of the storm and he can get us through the most difficult seasons of our lives. And I've learned so many lessons. And one of the things that was birthed through my pain, through my storm, was this project right here, Woman Rise. And as you can tell, Rise is an acronym, okay? The R is resilience, right? Knowing that I'm going to get through it. This is not going to kill me. This is not going to destroy me. It's going to develop me into a powerful woman, a better, wiser, stronger woman than I was before. And I told myself that every day, Jocelyn, like, this is not going to kill me. I'm going to become wiser, better, stronger. And I keep repeating that. Okay. Then the I is my intentionality. What am I focused on? Am I going to focus on the storm and let it derail me, or I'm going to be intentional about my goals and my dreams and what God has in store for me to do in this earth realm, right? So I had to have this I have to be hyper focused, right? Laser focused on what God has me to do. And then the S is steadfast in your faith. Like I told you, faith is my foundation. You have to have a foundation that's going to help you weather the storm. And then E is embracing the new opportunities that the challenges bring. Well, writing and publishing and helping others to tell their story is that opportunity that I'm taking advantage of. That's what I am doing. The who would have thought that my worst experience would be the very thing that I'm teaching and helping other people do. Remember, our coach told us, like he tell us this all the time. Don't just don't just tell the message, be the message. I had to become the message, Jocelyn, so that I can help other people in their pain, to help them process the pain. One of the ways you heal from your pain is to tell it, right? You write it, they tell you to journal, to talk about it. And so by me having to go through that experience, now I can help somebody else to tell their story the right way, the way that is going to impact other people's life. What I tell people, what I tell my clients is your story is a survival guide for somebody else. Your story is a solution to somebody else's problem, right? So we have to
Mhm.
realize that our story is much more than it's beyond us. It's much more than us. It's for somebody else. Somebody else is looking at us as the hero and they want to become that hero. So when we tell that story, it's going to help them come out of the pit. It's going to give them hope. It's going to give them transformation. It's going to give them results. And that's why we have to yield to our story. And that's what I teach my audience. That's
Powerful.
what I teach my clients. And that's what I hope to do.
Powerful, powerful. Yes, Coach Rosie. Oh, did y'all I hope you all who were listening caught those gems. She was dropping them quick too, so you might have to press rewind on this episode. But yes, Coach Rosie, this is exactly why I was saying earlier, I'm extremely pumped, excited about you being one of the presenters at our upcoming conference, our ministry launch conference, January 23rd and 24th, 2026. We're going to have a link to get your ticket in the show notes. Women, if you know you are called to start a ministry, you have a testimony that you want to share, you know it's time to get that book launched. Coach Rosie is going to be in the house. Now, Coach Rosie, I know we're wrapping up in terms of this podcast interview, but I want you to give them a little teaser as it relates to some of the things that you're going to be sharing in terms of answering that call of writing a book and sharing your story. What are some of the things as a highlight that you're going to be teaching?
Okay. So listen, this conference is going to be one for the books, okay? You got to be there. Ministry launch in January 23rd to the 24th. Listen, what I'm going to talk about is how to turn your pain. As a matter of fact, your pain owes you a paycheck, basically. Your pain
Come with it. Come on.
your pain owes you
Give me the
a paycheck.
t-shirt.
Out. Listen, make it a t-shirt.
Come on, girl. Trademark that, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Your pain owes you a paycheck. So, in the segment that I'm going to teach, I'm going to help you discover that story. That story that's going to be a survival to somebody else. You know, a survival guide for somebody else's problem, right? So, you're going to learn to discover your story. You're going to learn how to develop that story and you're going to learn how to use it. You're going to use that story and leverage that story for opportunities like should I give them a little hint? You know, like speaking engagements, things like that, so that you can now get paid for the pain. Okay. Your pain is not in vain, right? You're going to get paid for that pain. So we're going to talk about so much more within, you know, writing and crafting your book and becoming a best-selling author and how to leverage your book for impact and income. So you just got to be in the room. Be in the
You
room. Be
gotta
in
be
the
in the
room. You don't want to miss out on that. It's going to be transformational. And we have an amazing opportunity at the end for you. So you just have to be there in order to know what that opportunity is, right?
Oh, yes, that's right, coach. Oh, I'm so excited. I was so
Yes.
excited. And I'm grateful for you. Thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you for your authenticity. Thank you for showing those who are listening, whether it's a woman or a man or whoever's out there listening right now, that your pain is not in vain. And that going back to that scripture, all things work together, right? For
Yes.
those who love the Lord. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for helping others to rise strong. And I look forward to us continuing to work together to help people to answer that call, Sister Rosie.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Jocelyn, for having me here today. And I can't wait to be there in January to rock everybody's world. Okay.
Yeah, come on now, girl. Come on, rock it. And for those of you who want to get in touch with Coach Rosie prior to the conference, you can check out all the details on how to connect with her in the show notes. But that is it for today's episode, good people. Thank you again for tuning in, for just hanging out with another conversation with me. You know I love you. And if you'd like to learn more information about all the different services that I am connected to, whether it's counseling services through my counseling arm, Faith on the Journey, or you are a woman who is seeking to start your ministry or your purpose-driven business, go ahead and visit my website, revjocelyn.com, for more information on how we can best serve you. So thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next week, family. God bless.